Hey, what's up, and welcome to the Game Positive Podcast, episode 49. What are we gonna do for 50? That's kind of a milestone. That's like the first real milestone I think I had, and it doesn't feel like I did very much because like this podcast is like 5 years old, so that we're averaging 10 episodes a year or less. I think it's actually 6 years old. Sorry, not 5, but we're going to get to 50 probably next week. Let's go. Maybe we'll get a guest on for 50. I don't know. Wally, what are you doing next week? We'll see.
Yeah, let's bring him over.
Yeah.
I would love to do another podcast with Wally.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Yeah. Shout out to the Nerd Chat. If you're not subscribed over there, you should be. It's probably one of my favorite. Well, I mean, it might actually be my favorite podcast. It's definitely one of my favorite podcasts. It's one of the few I would say that I actually tune into every week. They're a great group of guys that have very, very good chemistry, camaraderie. They've been friends their whole life. So it really shows on the tape. But we're not here to talk about the Nerd Chat. We're here to talk about a couple things that happened in the news this week, as well as Gamescom. The third, fourth biggest games showcase of all time every year.
If not the biggest, I think it's the one with the most attendance.
Attendance, number one for attendance. For hype and reveals announcements, I think it's I would go. I'm biased, but I would say I'll put Game Awards number one, then Xbox. Then it's like a toss up, honestly, between Dev Direct, which has been really good lately, and then Gamescom. Gamescom has way more announcements, but
updates. Gamescom is more the updates. What we've heard before. It's a show that we need to go through just to know what the fall is for. Like if we still have vagaries on the release dates on the fall, that's what Gamescom is for. If not, it's to kind of start getting some solid releases for the first half of the next year.
Yeah, it's kind of like a super PAX, I would say. That's how I would describe it.
Yes, and I would love to go to Gamescom. Just seeing some of the clips that they were showing of how hype it is. It's just being with like-minded people hyped about games. I need that in my life because it's such a dire. If you're only online, it feels like everything sucks and everything's awful. But then you see that it's you get out of that bubble and you realize there's something to be positive. This.
Yeah, exactly.
So to me, it goes Game Awards, SGF, then the Xbox show, and depends on the year. But depends on the year. The SGF took it this year for the first time.
I'm just realizing I forgot about SGF, so I guess that's why it's.
SGF, they grow on up. They've grown.
Yeah,
they've grown to that.
I would say, I would probably still put Xbox second, just because SGF.
Consistency.
I would say maybe they flip. Like this year for me didn't really hit for SGF because I'm not. I would say if I finished Rebirth. If I finished Rebirth, it probably would, because I had to turn off the last 20 minutes of it because I didn't want to spoil Revelations. But yeah, Gamescom. I'd say probably 4. 4 is pretty good, and we have a schedule or an itinerary here, but we already are talking about Gamescom, so let's flip it upside down and just jump right into Gamescom and get to the news afterwards. You kind of started a little bit. I'll give my quick overall thoughts. I want to preface my overall thoughts for Gamescom, then we'll get into some titles that really stood out to us. But my Gamescom was kind of cursed because the way that. Because it's in Germany, it takes place in the middle of the week instead of being on a weekend. It is kind of rough for me to watch it the way it's intended to be watched. So I watched probably the first third of it on my third monitor at work while I was working. Then the next third I listened to on my phone in the car on the way to pick up my kids from school. And then I watched the end of it a couple hours later on my phone. So not the best way to consume this. But I did think it was good. My whole thing about Gamescom is I'm not really going in to be for surprise and delight. I'm more so thinking of the games that I'm really excited for and hoping to see really good looks at them. Cause you had mentioned, that's kind of what its modus operandi is just kind of giving you really good looks at things we know about. But there still are some nice surprises in there as well. I would say that this particular one was a little bit, from my perspective, a little Xbox heavy, which seems to be the case with a lot of showcases these days. Not even just the showcase, but the week in general. Very obviously they had some games that they showed that we'll talk about in a bit, but pretty much not everything, but a large amount of games were like Game Pass or Play Anywhere support. They had like IKEA there with Xbox and McDonald's partnership. Like
Yeah.
it was pretty wild. But I think it was a pretty good show. Again, I would say it's probably fourth this year. I'm assuming that
Mhm.
Game Awards is going to slap. But what about you?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I always see Gamescom as it's our preamble to the fall. If we still don't have any info for it, just solidify a final release date, maybe a launch trailer, like whatever that does. And it's rare for there to be like actual like mind blowing reveals. I remember one year they revealed Mafia: The Old Country. I don't know if that was 2024 or 2023, whichever one that was.
Got
Uh,
reviewed last year, so probably the year before that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then another one like it's the big closer was like the big middle finger to Xbox fans with Indiana Jones is coming to Xbox, but the big reveal is that it's coming to PS5. Then like, and that's how that show ended. And I
What?
was
How
like,
times have changed, haven't they?
I know that was under a different under a different regime, and now they even got an Xbox console exclusive logo now. Finally, in their trailers, it's like
And
it's a commitment.
I don't know if it was
So.
like part of the contract or not, but they really made sure that Jeff emphasized that it was a
Mhm.
console exclusive. He was like screaming that.
Hey, if you want to make people believe you after the 6 years of generational like back and forths and 180s and all of that, you gotta like commit to a message. And to be fair to them, they are. um I feel the thing that always hurts Gamescom a lot is that because a lot of those games that show up there are such known quantities, I feel Jeff always dangles the keys so often that literally like the big headliners of this were Witcher 3 and Final Fantasy 7 Revelation. Like that, like if you went to the promotion for ONL, it was like, hey, new updates for these games, come over. So, and obviously Witcher 3, the big reveal was that they're remastering it, which
Which
it
was a
made me
genuine
realize.
surprise, yeah.
Yeah, it made me realize that the port that came into PS5 and Series X was not considered a remaster. That was just basically a port that had some work done to it when it arrived in late 2022. So that's why I was like, wait, why are they announcing a remaster? But then when they started listing everything, I was like, oh no, I get why they're calling this remastered. It's like they put in the work for this. But
Yes.
the problem of doing that is that if that's your reason to come into the show, then it's a trudge having to kind of go through so much for it to then get to those things that you want. And I feel like Jeff used to do that a lot, even at SGF, and a lot of people were like, "Man, don't do that." Like the thing that you really want to do is like the surprise and delight of a showcase. Like what are the surprise? And I feel like SGF, this was the first time that he nailed so many like surprises like back to back. That's like to me for the games I like beyond just Revelation being there. Like SGF was like my dream show from Ari Veronica, like the new Team Eco game, like Alien coming back, the new Cuphead, and like just listing that is like, man, that's like what when I used to consider what were my hype like dream announcements. Like as this year's SGF gave me that. I don't expect SGF to always do that because that was just a perfect storm of everything aligning. But Gamescom doesn't have that. Gamescom is more known quantity. I feel SGF is always going to be the more sought after show because of E3 season and all that. But even then, as a let's solidify and get a final look of things, like Gamescom is good. It's a good show. I enjoyed my 2 hours that were there. They used to be three. Glad that it was two. So
Two
I've
is
seen.
better.
Yeah, but
I,
the Game Awards are 3 hours, so it's like we have a chunky show at the end of the
yeah.
year. So
I mean, I love that it happens. I love that there's another showcase. I think it
mhm.
would Jeff, I think, is kind of stuck because, and he would probably agree that I think Gamescom would be such an awesome place for like indie games to have a huge spotlight and to announce like really like cool new indie games. But there's going to be a lot of people because like the spotlight's so big, a lot of people that don't care about that, which sucks to say, but there are a lot of people out there who just want the heavy hitters and they just want to see the big reveals. And if you keep
Mhm.
showing indie games, they're going to get mad, which has happened before. So he kind of he likely feels pressure to have these like big budget games, and also the studios with the big budget games are the ones that help fund this whole thing in the first place. So they kind of have to be there. But eventually, like the well runs dry. Like he
Yeah.
just had massive announcements in December, massive announcements in June. Like it's on cooldown. The massive announcements are
Yes.
on cooldown.
Mhm.
So
But I
it is
feel like
tough.
the best thing that happened to Jeff now is the fact that Capcom and Square have dropped any pretenses so far of exclusivity and won like the biggest stages. Him getting Capcom and Square on board like has like boosted up that show because remember how much like specifically when there used to be Sony showcases, like, or even state of plays. Like there used to be state of plays where Sony wouldn't show up anything, and they would just have Capcom and Square announcements, literally. So it's like now that those guys have found a new home with Jeff, I feel that alone gets like, I feel like those two publishers in particular like have kind of like that onk nostalgia that can help like raise things. And I feel now that they're aligned with Jeff, that gives extra weight on top of the fact that he already had good relationships with CDPR and others. I mean, he revealed Witcher 4, so it's like now that those guys are more on board, I feel like the big work that he's done over the last 6 years is getting the confidence, like building that confidence with all the major publishers of this is not just some sideshow, this is like the main show. And I feel the last 2 years has finally shown that he has kind of like cornered that, because obviously Xbox, they were the only ones that still wanted to play by the old platform holder E3 rules of always trying to show up on a showcase right at the same time every single year. PlayStation decided, nah, we're too big for this. We're just gonna show up with state of plays now nowadays because nothing matters. And then Nintendo, they just did not drop it or direct around that time, and now they're slowly getting there because they probably realized that maybe everyone realized rising tide lifts all boats. I feel a lot. I've said it before, like individually, like the Xbox showcase of this year was my least favorite they've done over the last 4 years because they've done so good. And the state of play was whatever. And then even the Nintendo Direct was okay. But then when you pair up so many of the individual announcements of every of those shows, and then you see a massive list, all of this got announced over this last week, then you're like, holy crap, we were feasting. And that is so important.
Yeah.
Like that wave is so important. So it's like it can even make the most C- show feel better because it was part of everything. When everything's so by itself, it makes everything just feel much smaller. And then you have got a lot of people complaining. So
yeah, I feel like the whole showcase like scheduling and all that stuff. Like my take on that is that Nintendo, they kind of knew that they had to go against the grain. They knew that they couldn't like just go toe to toe with the big guys anymore.
mhm.
I say big guys. I'm literally just talking about graphics. Definitely not talking about
Uh-huh.
sales because Nintendo is the big guy when it comes to sales. And so
Right
they
now,
kind of
yes.
pioneered the whole like Nintendo Directs, and they put them in spots strategically where it was kind of outside of the shadow of E3, like in the fall and the spring.
Mhm.
And then what happened is they're so successful that they have too much. They can't fit them in these directs. So now they're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll show up in June too.
Mhm.
Sony, I think honestly, and maybe I'm a fanboy, I don't care. I truly believe this. The flute guy, the how much they got destroyed that summer, I think they're just like,
Mhm.
what are we doing? Like, why are we spending
Yeah.
this money? Like, we're spending money on behalf of our fans to give them a good show, but if we don't spend the money, they still show up anyway. So why
Yeah.
bother? And so I think that they still need to get their games announced. They still need a nice place to release these trailers, but I think they're completely done spending any money to have like any pomp and circumstance or make it
And
exciting or
even
anything like that.
think about the last time they did a legit cult showcase. That was May 2023. A lot of people kept telling us like, we waited 2 years for this. This felt like an extended state of play. What do they do now? Everything is a state of play now. So it's like
Yeah.
I feel like as soon as they get some criticism or something they do, instead of being like we'll do better next time, they just drop as a bad habit. And I get kind of what I keep saying with the most frustrating thing about this generation is that every move they had made until the physical gate, the market rewarded them because nothing changed. So it was like we stopped doing this, our sales keep going up. Look at all this, like nothing matters. It's like this generation rewarded them with like that mentality of nothing matters. That is why we got to where we are right now, which is so funny considering the big news that finally got confirmed this week. Because I feel that's the first opening chess move to be like, does this really matter? Because I feel like what they just announced is a big bone they're throwing to a lot of people that feel very disgusted right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, but that's kind of like the why I always like I always keep saying I hate when a company feels that they're too big for their bridges. And this was a generation that was just so frustrating that every bad move was like always you could like counteract it. It's like, look how much they're selling. Look how big they are. It doesn't really matter. And then at
Yeah.
the end, it's like, then why any of this matters then? Is like if this is like if this they just keep getting rewarded this way. But
If you
that's
have the
like
ball and
for a
gun
topic.
gamers, man, you don't really have to try too
Yeah, you don't
hard.
really have to try exactly.
But
But
let's keep on track with Gamescom here. Let's pick out
mhm,
some titles that we thought looked really cool. I
yeah.
actually lost the list here. I lost the tab. Here we go. Uh, we can start. I'll start out with this one. So,
Hmm.
CD Projekt Red. This was actually the closer and
Hmm.
probably the biggest surprise. I would say, kind of halfway. We knew
Hmm.
that the Witcher 3 expansion was going to show up. We probably figured they would talk about like a release window for Witcher
Hmm.
4, and we did get that Witcher 4 coming in 2028, just in time to not be available on a disc, which is
Yeah, and that's what I thought. As soon as I see it
yeah.
2028, I'm like, yeah, goodbye discs.
CD Projekt Red might find a way though.
Hmm.
They're known for having a lot in the box. There was an interview or something that I watched a long time ago where because they started off as kind of like a software sales platform. I don't know if
Hmm.
I think they were selling pirated games, if maybe if I'm not mistaken, and they a way that they found success was to make the box really cool and make them customers feel like they were getting a lot for their money, and they carried that through with their when they became like a legitimate game developer. I remember I got The Witcher 2 for Xbox 360 somewhere over
Hmm.
there.
Enhanced edition. I
Yeah,
have that one.
it came
Hmm.
with like a huge like pretty cool box, like an
Yeah.
art book is in there. This thing is like a brick. It's actually really cool. Cyberpunk's the
Hmm.
same way, Witcher 3 was the same way. So they could do something cool. Maybe there'll just be a code in the box, but I definitely suspect something. Maybe a steal. Anyways,
Think of their complete edition of The Witcher 3 that included both DLCs I baked in. I love that version because as soon as you install it, it's like Blood and Wine and the Heart of Stone, I think whatever the one
yeah,
that first one was called. Like they're all put in there, and that's kind of like the beauty of getting a complete edition because like everything's baked in case one of these services ever goes offline, which
yeah,
that could happen sometime.
on disc,
Exactly.
which
So
is awesome. Cyberpunk, the complete edition is the same thing. The DLC's on the disc. It's awesome. But the surprising aspect is that they revealed The Witcher 3 remastered, and you might be saying to yourself, "I already have that. I got it on PS5 or Series X." No, you do not, sir or ma'am.
mhm.
They are fully remastering The Witcher 3. Maybe let me see it. Let me do a like a check for you here. If you had to
Mhm.
name two things in The Witcher 3 that you think don't age very well, what would they be?
Combat and
Combat.
the loot.
Yeah, I would say combat and like the RPG mechanics in terms of like the skill tree and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Both of those things completely changed. The
Yeah.
combat they had a it doesn't show as well in just the trailer, but they have like a long play session that was today, like the red
Mhm.
streams. Combat looks amazing. Skill tree is completely
It
revamped.
feels it has weight, like it feels like it actually has a chunky weight to it that wasn't there. Like when you play like if you play the version that you're currently there, there's
Yeah,
like a floatiness to like the attacks
it feels like
in
you're
that original.
stringing animations together.
Mhm.
It almost feels like you're
Very like
playing Madden.
Skyrim
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
Skyrim because that was
exactly.
also like floaty.
Visuals are
So,
hugely upgraded. They're adding Xbox Play Anywhere support, which is great to see. FSR 4 support. If you play The Witcher right now,
PS5
it's
Pro,
FSR 2.
PS5 Pro,
Pro
PSR,
enhanced.
PSR
It
2.
was like at the end of the trailer. I thought it was the credits at first, but this
Yeah.
massive list of updates and fixes. It's a lot of work there, and you'd expect, okay, well, they obviously put a lot of work in here. How much does it cost? It's freaking free. If you own The
Mhm.
Witcher, any kind of The Witcher, you get this upgrade for free. If you have The Witcher on Nintendo Switch 1, you get it on
Cartridge.
Switch 2. Yes,
And in the cartridge, you're getting the free upgrade, even if you have the cartridge.
yes, if you got it for 4 cents on a Steam sale, boom, you get the upgrade, and the DLC is included as well. You will have to pay for the next DLC, which I don't know if they revealed like how big it is in terms of the scope, but they showed some of it and it looks really cool.
I assume it's gotta be like Blood and Wine, and Blood and Wine was like set a standard for DLC being almost comparable to like games.
Well, yeah, I
So,
think Blood and Wine's like a 30-hour RPG. I think Heart of
mhm,
Stone is like two-thirds or like half of that. So I don't actually know what this will end up being.
mhm.
But one thing that's kind of an interesting wrinkle is that it's launching obviously on next gen consoles, Switch 2, Xbox Series X, PS5, and PC on Steam and on GOG, but it's also launching on BattleNet, which
Yeah,
is interesting. So we don't have to spend too much time on this because I think that maybe we'll get more information down the road. I'd like to wait for BlizzCon. I think there's a Diablo partnership that I've
yeah. I was gonna say,
heard.
do you see that announcement that the Diablo Twitter like account put out of like Geralt? I'm like, is it just a skin, or are they doing something really crazy, like adding a Geralt like class? Like
Yeah,
for Diablo 4, like you play Diablo 4,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, what would be like the most like closest analog from those classes to a
Barbarian.
Geralt? Barbarian, right? So, but it's not the Paladin, and because I know the Paladin was just it was just added in Lords of Hatred. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, which, but paladin, I would say barbarian just because like two hand or swords, whatever.
mhm,
But still, really, even not close because like the barbarians are wearing heavy armor, and
mhm.
Geralt's using magic too. So maybe paladin fits. I don't know what this could be, but there was a tease for that. But I also still find it kind of strange that like the partnership would be, we'll have this tease, but also sell the game in BattleNet. Like I remember when Geralt was in like Soul Calibur or Tekken or something like that. I can't remember which one.
Soul
Uh,
Calibur 6.
yeah, and that was just him showing up. There wasn't like anything, like there wasn't like a Tekken character in a Witcher. Like you know what I mean? It wasn't like quid pro quo. So I don't know exactly what's going on here. I think this is the first non-Activision, non-Xbox game to be sold in BattleNet, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So it is kind of strange. But if they're trying to expand BattleNet, I don't know. Maybe there's some thing planned down the road where there's some combination. I don't know.
Like I know that people like playing on BattleNet, like the games that are there, even though they're on Steam, because for some reason I feel like it's pretty proven. I saw it with my brother. They perform better if you launch them from BattleNet. Like he plays Warzone from BattleNet instead of like doing it through Steam because of just performance alone. So
Yeah,
I feel like BattleNet never like I feel BattleNet always got its props as like one of the best launchers there ever was. I feel like its importance like kind of got understated in the Xbox like acquiring them and Steam like rising in prominence and all of that I feel people forget that. And let us even not forget that the time when Destiny was under Activision and the PC version was on BattleNet was that version at its best. That then like when they moved over to Steam and went free to play and all of that, I feel like Destiny always was like always in a perpetual state of trouble in Steam for some reason. So it's like there's something funny about that. But there's a
Destiny's
ubiquitous
not.
Steam at the same time.
Destiny was in BattleNet, right?
Yeah, and
Because it's
then
not
it got
still.
moved out.
Yes, I didn't think it was
Mhm.
still there. Yeah,
Yeah.
BattleNet's very light. So, and Steam has a lot of like services that run in the background and
Mhm.
different ways that they do shaders and things like that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like you can't. It's like a horrible experience on Steam, but
Mm.
if you're like playing like at the most hardcore level where like you can tell if there's like if it's like 124 or 121 FPS, you can like feel that. Then yeah, I mean min max, you probably would have a better experience on BattleNet. BattleNet just has like a very diehard committed community because
Mhm.
since it existed, all of Blizzard's games have been on there. Blizzard makes some of the most loved, most popular games ever. And on top of that, they a lot of almost all their games have some sort of cross pollination. So you have, if you're a Warcraft fan, and you pre-order
StarCraft.
StarCraft, you get like a Warcraft skin. And if you pre-order like Diablo, then you get some StarCraft. And it's just like there's just like this circle, like everybody plays all of them. Every Blizzard game is played by most Blizzard players, and you just have this friends list, this community that you've been around. When you're playing Warcraft and someone starts playing StarCraft, like you see it, that was kind of a new thing when it first came out. So it's definitely smaller than Steam. It's probably honestly smaller than Xbox PC, but it's the people that are there. It's still in the millions, and they are like
Yeah.
die hard.
Rarely anyone speaks ill of BattleNet.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like on the PC, but when I look around, it's like everyone you mentioned BattleNet is like I've seen that conversation. It's like why did I even saw the why is Xbox investing so much on Xbox PC when they could literally just try to subsume BattleNet and build that up because that just works. And Xbox PC has always been a Russian roulette. It works for you now. It still doesn't work for me. It works rarely for my brother. Also, I heard it from another
Xbox
friend who thought it
PC.
worked. Xbox PC, like the app keeps like glitching out on him. It's so funny. Like he has tried. I gave him my account so he could get Game Pass games, and it's always a crapshoot. He always gets kind of. Remember one error you sent me one time? We even tried to go in to try to fix like some root code and all that, and that got it half fixed. It's like it's so weird that how inconsistent the Xbox PC app can be like from machine to machine. It used to
Yeah.
work well on my laptop, and then something happened in the update that then it made it like slow AF, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like why is the perfect example of Windows. It
Yeah.
works one time and then you turn it on again, you haven't changed anything and it doesn't work. It's like it's just so weird. It's like it sucks that that's the connotation you have of Windows, like overall. And to be correct for everything else at least just works. and that's kind of like what you kind of want. So
Yeah, I remember having issues early on. I can't say I have very many issues now. Maybe
hmm
we can parking lot this offline. But
hmm
I do use like the insider like beta
hmm
ring version. So maybe there's some stuff that I have that he might not have that
hmm
could help. I don't know. But
yeah,
like
he doesn't have that, so we wonder maybe that's what
perhaps, I
why it's
mean,
like so
you'd think it'd
inconsistent.
be the
Yeah.
opposite. Like mine would be more buggy, but I mean, I don't know. But yeah, Witcher's coming to Battle.net, which is like pretty cool, and obviously the game
hmm
looks incredible. Coming out in September, which is kind of
29. Yeah.
suicide month. But
Yeah.
if you are on a budget and you're like, oh my god, how am I supposed to afford all these games? Well, you got The Witcher 3 remastered for free, so
I
let's
will
go.
say real quick the fact that it's like if you're such a big fan of that style of WRPG, doing getting the Dawn of the Bloodwalker, and then immediately getting this game like
Yeah,
there in that style, I feel like you could be feasting if you just want to play this kind of game because like they're basically giving you a redone Witcher 3. So
yeah.
and the director of Bloodwalker is the same guy that made this because he didn't work on Cyberpunk. He left the CDPR after that. So fun
Yeah.
times for that kind of style of polished RPG. So
Speaking of third person polished RPGs, the next game we have on here is Final Fantasy VII Revelation. Now, I
mhm.
did not watch any of this. As soon as the guy showed up, I skipped forward. I don't want to see it. So you can
Yeah.
tell me what your spoiler free impressions are,
Mhm.
with whatever they showed.
Yeah, basically like they have elaborated on a big thing that happens in this basically final third of Final Fantasy 7, which is like the weapons, which are these massive creatures, and how they're building that up into the story and showing things like an underwater segment that's so popular from the original game. And I would say it was kind of a brief tease, but kind of like a caveat of saying that this marks the beginning of the marketing onslaught. So what this means is, if you notice the order of systems, how they're promoting this, they're starting with Switch 2. I bet you top dollar, but by the time we get to the next Nintendo Direct, you're going to see another trailer. They may show up in another state of play because kind of like what they did with Resident Evil Requiem, that it was showing up everywhere and they had a final trailer there at that state of play. They may show up there again. They may show up at the Game Awards. Rebirth was there the year before, so it's like just get ready. They're gonna prostitute this game to oblivion. Like they have a panel at PAX next week. They're gonna have like the combat director and the director Hamaguchi are gonna be there. So anyone that goes to PAX West, they're gonna get to see or find out something new about the game. They're showing the game in a hands-on demo behind closed doors to media also. So it's like they're ready. They're ready to like blast this thing into oblivion. Like they're so they have an eagerness to really promote this game more than I would say I even saw in Rebirth. And I wonder if it's because they know now the project is complete and they may get the people that are like, I want to wait until all is out. Because we know there's people like that I'm not gonna binge this season until it's fully out. I'm gonna be like I feel like they understand where they are now. And now that they have the on constraints of they're gonna be everywhere now, this is the time for them to like blast the marketing for a series that I feel deserves all the success. It's a really, it's one of modern Square Enix's best games, both remake and rebirth. And I'm hoping that this one lands the plane. One final interesting tidbit though, have you heard rumblings that this game may be M-rated?
No,
Do you see that?
I haven't heard
So
anything about this
so
game.
now, okay, so if you go to like the Xbox page for like wish list, because obviously right now the rating is RP rating pending, but on Xbox they have put the moniker of like rating pending, likely mature 17, and a lot of people are kind of going like on a fritz based on some things that happen in the story here. That they're like, man, if they really go hard in some things that are gonna happen in this story, it's like this is gonna be like spicy, maybe even darker. But it's like then it's Peggy 16, which is like the same rating as the other one somewhere else. But it was so funny seeing that, like those rumblings, because like, man, I tell you, the best story moments of Final Fantasy VII are still to come, and they're all in Revelation. That's the thing that I'm so excited for people to see, because so many people always associate FF7 with the Midgard section and this and the mother of all spoilers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't say it.
Yeah,
But unfortunately,
exactly.
I do know. I've never
Exactly.
seen it happen in the game, but I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Exactly. So it's like those are always the things that people like remember, and never there's a conversation of all the awesome stuff that happens after that moment.
Yeah, I
It's like
literally
there's
have
so much.
no idea. I
Exactly.
have no idea. I haven't even seen anything from like the original game. I have no idea what happens after Midgar. Zero.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I'm so like always getting all these tiny glimpses, and me knowing the seventh game so fresh, having played it like 3 years ago, like for the first time. So it's like that's what I'm most excited, and seeing like how they're aggrandizing like the coolest parts of that game. So we're gonna get more of this game. So we'll see what happens next week after that panel. They might do another trailer. Who knows?
Cool.
The big beat is we're waiting on the release date, but it's still holding to spring 2027.
Spring,
They're
yeah.
not budging.
But
Just
speaking of third-person highly polished RPGs, the next game that we have on the list here is actually Fable, which I believe was not actually in the showcase, but
no.
it was part of Xbox's like daily live stream. They had a big deep dive into Fable, and
Mhm.
my biggest, I wouldn't say concern, but my biggest question mark for Fable was the combat. I thought in the original reveal that they gave, I think at the developer direct,
Mhm.
I don't think the combat looked bad, but that definitely was the weakest part of what they showed, and they showed a
It
lot
looked
of
rough. It looked rough. Like it looked
it looked
slow.
yeah,
It definitely, yeah, it looked slow back then. So
but it looks great now. It looks really good right now. I think this was pretty smart of them too. They did the demo on the hard mode, so they really had to
hmm
like use all of the different abilities and stuff. The combat, in my opinion, looks great. Like Arkham-esque almost.
hmm and that's the thing that makes me most excited. I'll say it later in a game that I was reviewing that we're gonna talk about later. But it's like the more we move out of Souls-like combat and into something that may be quicker or
I
more
love
like the
Souls.
more, and that's the thing. I like it too in a vacuum. The fact that every action game they decided let's do all of that for action made me annoyed, and I feel there's just so many flavors of combat that you can do that I'm glad when I see a little bit more speed. And I love that now what they're showing us a Fable, we see kind of like the structure of what a side quest will be. We see kind of like the flow of combat, and there's like a both a mix of snappy and weightiness to it. That now, in the context of looking the game running smoother than it did back in January, I'm like, I'm getting more and more like convinced that this is gonna like fully land the ship. This has been the one game that I'm like, please, I if there's one game that they absolutely need to nail is this one from the developers that has given them like their only real critically acclaimed and big seller, which was Forza. And it feels like this is what they shown this week is what finally sells me on. They may deliver on this, actually. They may. It's like I still want to see more. And let's see if they can tease just a little bit more. But I feel like every time they give us more, each game looks better and better. I like what we saw in the showcase with the villain and like the tone and how it looked. And I feel every showing has just been like an improvement and an improvement. I have not all my worries from Dev Direct have basically been erased at this point. After Dev Direct, I'm like, I don't know. Like I know there's hype for this, but it's like if this is how it is now that you're showing it after all these years, I don't know if it's fully there. And I had my doubts with Xbox. Every time we get hyped over something, Xbox always something, but it's like
We're in a new era. A new
we're in a
era.
new I feel I said it to Ryan McCaffrey like when he posted. I feel like we have been getting so many tiny wins right now. Collision and Playground have the chance to cash in on all the goodwill that have been building because I feel in the end, no matter how many goodwill wins you get, games being awesome is the that is the spike in the ball and scoring. If they
Yep.
can land both of these games, I'm getting a feeling that they will land these ships. Like we'll get to Gears later, but it's like that story trailer blew me away, man. Like that was like that story
Yeah.
trailer like reminded me of like man, it's like campaign Gears campaigns can be really good. And reading the previews too, like people be like, it feels like what you remember and plus more. I'm like, all I need to
Yeah.
hear.
Well, let's just jump into Gears now. We don't have to necessarily go in order. I think Gears E Day, that was my favorite trailer for sure. I think I've watched it like 15 times. It was mind-blowingly like good looking. It looks like a blur. Like you remember what was that show on Amazon that where
hmm
they just showed like an every episode was a different
Next
game
level,
from
next
Blur.
level,
I think maybe something like that. They had Concord on it. They had like
yeah, it
yeah.
is so funny. Yeah,
It
it is
looked
funny
like
that.
that, the cinematics, like the
Mhm.
scene in the trailer where the female cog is like putting water in her face. I was like, "Oh my god, this looks incredible." The music was amazing. Like this game is just I'm also like a massive fan of the franchise. So like
Mhm.
I'm not coming at this from a neutral perspective, but
Yeah.
it just blew me away. Combine that with the beta, with the
Mhm.
amazing preview footage, previews that are coming out.
and that's the thing. I'm a campaign guy. Gears has been a campaign series for me more than PvP. So seeing what they're doing now is like, I always knew it had the member berry. I always knew Gide was always gonna be a, in some ways, a nostalgia play going back to that. And I've been like, okay, cool. It's cool that we're going back to what is recognizably Gears of War. Show me a little bit more, and seeing kind of like the trailer had gravitas. That's the thing that that makes me so excited. It's just not gonna be a, remember Gears 1? This is here
Yeah.
again. So it's like, at least just based on that trailer, I'm not getting that vibe, and that's exactly what I want, because I was like, show me there is a reason to come back to EA beyond, oh crap, people are not super fans of 5. Let's shift back to what people want. It's like that's always been like my only tiny thing as a concern of this game, and everything else has just been awesome. The showcase of the Xbox Series X that it's been desperately like needing beyond Hellblade 2. Obviously,
Yeah.
Hellblade 2 was a showcase, but the fact that the game landed softly, like critically, like relatively, it's an 80, but it's still like, that was like sold as, hey, we're revealing a console.
Not,
yeah, exactly, and it didn't hit. I feel like this is kind of like what they need. This is the kind of game that it needs. Yes, will you make the joke, oh, once again it's Gears of War, the one? I'm like, look, who cares?
Yeah.
Mario always is the big thing that sells a Nintendo Switch. Like the Naughty Dog style game, the God of Wars, like those classic franchises always hit. I don't care that that Gears is gonna do that for Xbox. Like, that's why there are marquee franchises that define each system. Is what's been so frustrating about Halo, that it's like that Halo, like, it's in that tier of top tier, and it feels like it doesn't get that care. And I'm like, good. Like, while they still figure Halo out, God knows what's happening where they're in that building right now after Camp Pinnable.
I'm
like
not talking
Gears
about
is
343.
Gears.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gears is like, it feels like Gears is gonna, it feels like it's gonna land, and that's what makes me so excited. Like, my final concerns are like, okay, let's see how their land campaign or what they previewed. I'm like, unless something catastrophically wrong goes like near the end of that, like, I have no doubts now that story trailer finally like fully like stamp of approval. Yep, it's like, I always knew this was my most anticipated Xbox game regardless. Now it's like, get hyped, people. Like,
Yep.
get hyped. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm blown away. The one question I do have is that one locust that they showed with like the horn coming out. I don't know.
uh-huh.
I mean, he's obviously set up as one of the antagonists. I hope that's not like the replacement for Ram. I think
Mhm.
that, I mean, I don't know anything about him. Just a first impression, it doesn't seem like as compelling as Ram
Mhm.
or as any of the other
Yeah.
villains that the series has had. But
I wonder if Ram will even be here. Like, I do wonder how they're gonna like portray like whatever relationship the humans have against the locusts. Because if you remember the original Gears, it's like, that was just basically two warring factions, very
yeah,
Warhammer 40k. Like, how it was portrayed there. It was in 2 and 3 that they started like seeding more connections between like the humans and the locusts, especially with Marcus's
maybe it's Ram's
father.
dad.
We'll see. But
Dad
I want to
Ram.
see like, yeah, I want to see like how they do that. Like, I
Ram
just want to see
Senior.
what they Ram Senior, Ram Crisis. So,
Ram Crisis,
yeah.
yes. Dude, the villain
So,
is just literally Ram. It's just
yeah,
literally
yeah.
like DDR5 Ram.
Uh,
Yeah, scary
yeah, but
stuff. Scary stuff.
that was a great trailer. Like, I have no complaints. And
Yep,
paired with the previews, go read those previews, people. It's like,
real
that's
good.
the kind of hype you need to solidify that you're getting a great Gears of War game. So,
Yep. Yeah, well, yeah, we have a couple more games on here. Let's go through these ones super quick.
mhm,
Warlock Dungeons and Dragons. I also thought that looked amazing. The
mhm,
question mark I have, obviously, as I don't know anything about the team that's making it, but I know that Dungeons and
mhm,
Dragons is like a lore factory. There's
yeah,
countless stories and amazing things that you could pull from that. I know
mhm,
that Tasha from the trailer, I don't think it's the
mhm,
protagonist, but it's like the other female character. That character is really important in Dungeons and Dragons. Like, there's literally a book I have over there, Tasha's Cauldron of
uh-huh,
Everything. So
mhm,
I know from a lore and story perspective, it's going to be great. I know the studio's from Montreal. I didn't get to
mhm,
research that much, and I know there's a lot of talent in Montreal. I'm
yeah.
guessing there's some combination of like X Crystal, X Ubisoft, X Eidos, something like that. That's kind of what the pedigree feels like based on what we've seen. But that was a really impressive showing.
Yeah, I said it really quick in my in my Discord. This is like my slop over the shoulder third person action game. So I was like, heck yeah, I'm in a D&D game like in this style. Like, it has some cool flourishes. I wasn't overtly blown away, but it looks cool that I want to see it. Like, this is a game that I'm gonna keep like on during previews, see if it like they show us more, see how it develops, and I'm hoping it hits because I feel like Wizards of the Coast has so many IPs and they got so much money that you would expect that they could do more games than what has happened. And obviously,
Yep.
we know things have not gone well. Like the Stig Asmussen game that he was making, the Jedi Survivor director, he went
Yeah.
there to make an action game and they killed that game.
I would
So yeah, that's
say I felt what you're describing is how I felt when Space Marine 2 was revealed. I was like, I think
mm-hmm,
Space Marines are cool. I
mm-hmm,
know Saber has talent. I don't know much of games that they've made. I don't know that much about them. Um, I know the first game was pretty cool, but then when it came out, I was like, oh my God, this game is amazing. It's one of my favorite games of that year. And now Saber is like
mm-hmm.
this prolific developer who's making
Yeah.
KOTOR, I believe, and Hellraiser
Mm-hmm.
looks amazing. And they're just doing a bunch of cool stuff. So
Yeah, Space
hopefully,
Marine. Yeah, Space Marine literally gave me my Gears of War fix. It's
yeah.
such a Gears of War coded game that it's not even funny,
Mhm.
and it was like it hit right at the perfect spot. It hit the spot like when it came out. So
Yeah.
and
So
you're still updating it. That's
yeah.
what's so
Oh yeah.
funny.
Yeah. So good luck to them. I'm really interested to see more. Again, I really love the IP, and
Mhm.
I just know that Montreal is full of talent. So I do have faith in the team, and I can't wait to see more. You have a game on here called Gany God something, Gany God Nezha. I have no idea
Nessa,
what
yeah,
that is.
yeah. Jenny God's Nessa was in the in the pre-show. So it was basically described as a Chinese mythology like action RPG. So it kind of like had a slight old school God of War flourish with like the usual Chinese like hyper production values that we're kind of getting, whereas like some of these things look so good you don't know if it's real, and then it's like, oh crap, it's actually real. So it's like it's I want to see more. It was something new. It's like it looked kind of like my up my alley, but I feel they also didn't show as much. But I just wanted to put more of the newer stuff that was here, like because it's like very notable that there's such few new stuff in a show that was mostly updates for updates for like unknown quantities. So
Yep. I'll have to check the trailer out. I
mhm.
just looked up at the thumbnail. Literally have no idea what that is. I didn't get to see the pre-show,
Yeah.
unfortunately. You also have Notice Fall here, aka
Yeah.
Elden Ring at home.
Yeah, Elden Ring at home is like I tell you, Hoyoverse, they are the experts at flying too close to the sun. Have you been seeing they putting a picture of Melania with a character that
Yeah,
like
it's the
transformed
same. As soon as
Melania?
I saw that, I was like, this is the
Yeah, I was
same.
like, it's like I even tagged Hogue. Like I was like, is this like would this qualify as flying too close to the sun? Like, could they get sued? Because we know that Tencent tried to do that Horizon like Timu version, and Sony actually won that case, and they got to like delist that game. So I'm like, I do wonder. I would say that for a Hoyoverse game, this looks insane. Like visually, it's like holy crap! It's like Elden Ring put through the filter of like cleanness, like not the not the usual like from stuff like decrepit engine that pushes above like tries to push above its weight in a way. But it's like yeah, it's like it's again like those games made by that side of the world. It's like it's kind of wild that China, South Korea, like a lot of that dev side, the visual style is like, why does this look so good? It's like this almost doesn't feel real. And we know that also they're very liberal about the Gen AI thing, and we know that Gen AI who knows that if any of these games
Yeah,
was also made by
unfortunately.
it's being made by Gen AI, and they don't care over there. It's that's more of a problem here in the West, and we're more against that from an artistic perspective. But it's interesting. Like when I think of Hoyoverse, I think Genshin, I think Honkai Star Rail, like Sunless Zone Zero, like all those like similar looking gacha games. So the fact that this looked like it is, and it says more a traditional game instead of a free to play mess, from what I understand. That's why I was like, huh. Visually, you're flying too close to my taste, but it's like I want to see what you do with this full game because it did look cool, and
Yeah.
that was like one of the first things that was when the show started. He basically opened with this. So
Yep, and there's some pedigree for teams making drastic shifts like that. I remember, I don't know
mhm.
if it was last year or the year before, but the team that made First Berserker Kazan, like they
Uh
made
huh.
like microtransaction slop pretty much their
Yeah.
whole career until Berserker, and that until I haven't got to Mortal Shell yet, but as of
Mhm.
today, I think First Berserker Kazan is the best Souls like at least from a combat perspective, it's untouched.
It's one of the hardest too. That game broke me. Like
Yeah, I beat it.
that
I
game
got the
really
platinum
broke
in
me.
that game. I got the to get the platinum, you had to beat it on the hardest difficulty with no summons,
Oof.
and it was. It was very challenging, which made it extremely fun for me. And I think I
Mhm.
still like. I would argue that it has better combat than all of the Souls likes, except for maybe Sekiro.
Mhm.
Just pure
It's
combat.
tight.
There's
It's so
not as
tight.
much diversity. Like you can't like create all these different builds like you can in Elden Ring, but just like
Mhm.
what they give you and how fun it is and how mechanically satisfying it is. I don't know if there's a Souls like with better combat than that. Story is
Mhm.
whatever. The graphics are good, but like a little generic. But
Mhm.
so there's pedigree. They
Yeah,
made
it's like
anime gotcha things that some people we know have billions of hours played in, and that doesn't mean they can't change it up a little bit. So
yeah, it was like the art style of the character models was cool. The world was generic fantasy, but
for
in the
Kazan,
contrast of the for Kasan,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
Kasan's like characters is the thing that made it stand out visually. But that combat, man, it's like I pushed so hard to keep going because that ferocity and tightness of that combat, like just really, really, really like that's what I want. I want like, they had all these different combos that you can make, like you can build your character
Oh,
like in
trust me,
certain
I know.
ways. So,
There's a boss in
so
the middle of the game, maybe like the first third of the game. That's like
I know which one. Yeah,
that's probably where you got to. That is like the skill check. Like this is
yeah.
like we
I
don't
made
want you
it.
to
I made it.
waste. Yeah, we don't
I
want you
made
to
it.
waste your all kinds of time because if you can't beat this, then the last boss is just gonna you're not you
Mhm.
have a chance.
Yeah,
Uh,
I remember there was and the second skill check that happens later. I wonder if it was the seventh boss, whatever it was. That was the one where that's where I stopped. I was like, yeah, I need a break from this. So I forget the
yeah,
name. Yeah,
I
but
forget
there
the
was
name
two
too. I'll
later.
send you an image of it after. I think I know
Mhm.
if you got to the real skill check, then yeah, then I know exactly where
I
you
think
are.
the skill check was called the Viper. If I beat the
No,
Viper
no,
after all.
that's not
Oh
what
no.
I'm talking about at all. That's
Okay,
just the
then there's the
first.
other
The
one.
Viper's like the first boss, like after this tutorial.
And that was they patched that boss. I remember they literally like patched it
The
because
Yeti
so
or
many people.
the story one, the Blade Phantom.
Blade Phantom, it's I passed that one. That was a story one. That was a story one, and he was even in the demo. It was like a lizard one that had two faces. I remember, and they I vividly
That's
remember they
Viper.
patched him. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's
that's
not what I'm
another
talking
one.
about at all.
Yeah, there's another one. There's another one much later, and
There's
I
a boss
wonder if
called
that's the one.
Maluka. It's a dude with white hair.
There you go. Yeah, Maluka. That's where I stopped.
Yeah,
I stopped at Maluka.
that is like it's like they put you against like the nameless king
Yeah.
basically at the 1/3 way mark of the game, and they're like
Hmm.
you need to be able to beat this. Unfortunately, if you can't play the game anymore,
Yeah.
and that's
Hmm.
basically what it was. And that yeah, that's not the hardest boss in the game if that makes you feel better, but
Yeah.
it's definitely like at the top. But yeah, anyway, I don't want
Mhm.
to talk too much about Kazan. Great game. If you see it on sale, pick it up. It's fantastic, fantastic combat.
Unfortunate that the developer had to close, which was so sad
Yeah,
because I heard that they set up a sequel, or there was like a clearly they were gonna try to continue it with a sequel. So such a bummer, but
yeah.
mhm.
Let's finish these off. I have a couple here that I'll quickly
Mhm.
talk about. PoE 1.0 finally got announced. It was always
Yeah,
confirmed to be end of the year, but we have a date on it now. I believe it's December
they
something.
love December. Early access launched in December in 2024, so makes sense
Right around the same time as
perfectly.
Stage Hero, which I didn't put on here.
Uh,
But I'm excited for that. I saw the pre-orders are live. The guitar controllers work on 360,
I was
which
gonna
is
ask, do you
crazy.
still have your 360 guitar for Rock Band, and
I have the
do you have it there?
guitars, but more importantly, I have the games. I have Guitar Hero 2, 3, Aerosmith
Mhm.
World Tour, and I have Rock Band 1, 2, and 3. So like they should all work with this new guitar, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, love that. That is like if so for people are still held to those things to hell or high water, you're getting rewarded.
Yeah.
So cool.
And I have Rainbow Six Tactics on here. I think that this was a surprise.
Hmm.
I'm somebody who's actually a massive fan of Mario Rabbids. I reviewed it for SG. I
Hmm.
think I gave it a 9 or a 9.5. I think this the
Hmm.
second one.
Nine.
I
Yeah, the
think
second
that
one you gave a nine.
yeah, I think that game is exceptional. And I don't know
Hmm.
if it's the same team. I actually didn't look into it that far, but I know Ubisoft has a pedigree for a game like this. I know that as someone who played hundreds of hours of Rainbow Six Siege, there is a large roster of interesting characters that all have unique
Hmm.
play styles and abilities, which would translate super well to a tactics game. At
Hmm.
first, when I first saw this, I thought, "Oh no, this an iPhone game. This is such a waste of potential," but it's not. It's a real
You
game,
see,
and I am pretty excited for this. I won't lie. And lastly, on here, you
mm,
have Tides of Annihilation.
yeah, and for that one, obviously we've seen that one a lot. This was basically the confirmation that the voice actress that's replacing Jennifer English, which we knew like a couple weeks ago, is Angela
Mael.
Saying Albano, which is the voice of Grace Ashcroft. Which to me, she delivered one of the greatest new kinds of performances from like a relative newcomer of the year. She's the reason why Grace Ashcroft became like one of the better new protagonists for Resident Evil, because of that performance, like how she sold the despair of playing through her. So I'm like, heck yes, like she's an up and comer. We have our Ben Stars, we have our Troy Bakers, we have our like our tried and true like boys, our Laura Bailey's is like more up and comers. Heck yeah, and basically I confirmed. And even the face, like people thought it was her because when they started changing the character model for the main character, which is Gwendolyn, everyone was like, "Why does this give an air of Angela?" That was before the announcement, so that was basically confirmation, and we got to see more of that like Devil May Cry style combat that's also very heavily inspired by Final Fantasy 16, down to a companion that's basically Phoenix. That's clearly Joshua. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, was it last week or 2 weeks ago that we said that the previews went out for Tides of Annihilation? Tides of Annihilation. It's like uh, people played it and liked it. They went all the way to China to play it. So it's like it seems like it's looking really good. So props to Angela. Like more work to you, and she did great today at the Future Games show alongside Nick Apostolitz, which is the voice of Leon Kennedy, and I took a picture with him.
Oh,
And
cool.
as yeah, he was at my demo for Hellraiser, Clive Barker's Hellraiser. He was next to me, so it was really cool. I was like, holy crap! I'm like playing this hands-on demo next to Leon Kennedy. That's wild. So,
That game
yeah,
actually, I think I don't have to get in a tangent on it, but I think that game looks better than it should be. I don't know what
it
it
is
plays
better.
like.
It is better than it seems like. It's a
Yeah,
mix of Bioshock and RE. Let me put it that
but
way.
like very
It was,
sadistic and very
dude. It's
very
the
M
most,
rated.
dude. It's probably the most nearly AO game that I played in years. Like when I played that demo, I was like, I remember like Nick, like when they asked him what you think, he was like, "You guys are nuts." He was like, "I'm disgusted. You guys are nuts." Like he said that to the PR guy. I was like, "Yeah, I 100% believe it. It's so bloody." And $40 when it comes out
Yep.
on October.
And it's
So
Play Anywhere, and
yeah,
it has a physical Xbox release, and we'll
yeah,
talk about that a little bit more in a second.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that kind of wraps up kind of the highlights, I would say, of Gamescom.
Mm-hmm,
Gamescom is not over yet though. Xbox still has 2 more days of showcases. The Future
mm-hmm,
Game Show was today. FPS Showcase I think is next week. There's a lot of
mm-hmm,
stuff to keep your eyes on. It's a really good time to be a gamer. There's tons and tons of stuff. We might even have more to talk about next week.
mm-hmm,
But yeah, those are kind of the highlights for me. There's a couple of news stories I want to get through super quick here.
mm-hmm,
Even though Gamescom kind of just overshadows everything. One thing that kind of I think was happening last week, but we never touched
mm-hmm.
on it, is the Cyber Leak Grand Theft Auto
Yeah.
situation. Effectively, there is a person. I guess we don't know their
Mm-hmm.
gender. A person named Cyberleak who
Yeah.
is not
Banned.
super
He got
hyped.
banned from he got banned from Twitter today.
Yes, he got banned from Twitter today. There's rumors, speculation on how he got this. Allegedly, he was able to get it from a employee at Rockstar India by phishing or something like that. Not like there wasn't
Shocker.
like a and
Indian fishing.
it wasn't like some shady thing where the Rockstar employee went rogue. It sounds like it was a phishing scheme. It looks like he's got a not current, but not that old of a build of GTA 6 that he's playing, and he's slowly leaking bits and pieces of it. He
Yeah.
did release a manifesto to Rockstar telling them what they need to do, I guess, in order to stop this. There's 3 commandments. I'll read those here. Commandment
Yeah, please.
1.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not sell digital pre-orders. It says
Uh,
CyberLeak claims that their leaks are in protest against an all-digital storefront due to GTA 6 not releasing on disc and Sony's decision to stop producing disc by 2028. I just want to say, I am not CyberLeak. I promise, I am not
yeah.
CyberLeak. Commandment
Yeah.
2, thou shalt not fake single-player DLC. CyberLeak criticizes Rockstar's controversial decision to sell an ultimate edition of GTA 6 that comes with excessive missions, stores, and cosmetics. And Commandment 3, thou shalt preserve single player content. This part of the manifesto reflects the Stop Killing Games initiative, which is a global campaign that requests the preservation of games that cease to function when their servers are shut down. However, important to note that Stop Killing Games, the organization, has condemned CyberLeaks' actions. My quick thoughts on this: I think it sucks for all the developers at Rockstar. Um, they have been working on this probably for most of their lives at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm not somebody who's developed a video game, but I am somebody who's developed applications. And the day when you get to flick it live and see people's reactions is really fun, even from the low hanging, the low tier stuff that I'm working on. So working on something as big as GTA, I think they would have loved to have that moment. When the Netflix thing comes out tomorrow, instead of having like these low quality unintended things get shown. It does suck for them. I think that if the things that he's asking for came true, it wouldn't be the worst thing that's ever happened. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think this is necessarily the way to go about it.
Yeah.
But it definitely is not making Rockstar happy. There is some rumors going around that they think this is all planned and staged. And if that is the case, then oh my God. I put a giant box in my. I don't. How did you
And
get?
your you always love your cat, like always making the unintentional cameo. It's so funny because in my show that I used to do the X button was always cameos of cats. So I'm glad that cat cameos are still part of my my podcast appearances. That's so funny.
Yes. Anyways,
So,
it does suck for them. Rockstar did make a statement about it. They're not happy. But yeah, what about you? What do you think?
yeah, to me, like this really shows that I remember some people, one of the big defense points that they were saying a Rockstar not doing this is like they're protecting the experience. This way, this thing is not gonna leak and all of that. And boy, were people wrong. Like I tell you, it's like this proves to me if you're a developer now that has gotten too big and too popular, boy, you're gonna have people destroying you. What we saw with Last of Us Leaks was just the beginning. This is like an even more targeted like assault towards that. And I would say like, and again, like after so many people have given Rockstar way too much power to the point that is like, look at November. It's like, what is even releasing in November beyond Barbie? It's
Oh
like,
no, they
and
have competition now. Did you see what I posted in the Discord?
oh yes, like that PC game. Or
Just a quick, super quick tangent. A little while ago, I think it was at Summer Games Fest. Devolver said that they're not scared of Grand Theft Auto, and
yes,
they have a game that they're going to release to go toe to toe with Grand Theft Auto, and they
mhm.
revealed that today. I'm trying to find it here on Steam. It's called Volvies, which is their mascot, Adventure Reslimed. It looks like Cursed Super Mario World. You can pre-order it right now on Steam. Right now, it's
For
25%
four
off.
bucks for
For
$4, right?
for me, it's 450 Canadian, so it's probably three something, four something, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I pre-ordered it. Everyone listening should pre-order this. This is them standing up against the man. It actually, like real talk, it looks awesome. It looks like
He's the Volver.
Cursed Mario Super Mario World is the most apt description. It looks
Mm-hmm.
really good. It launches on the exact same day as GTA 6. And I would be shocked if it's actually not climbing the charts on Steam. It's made by, I believe, Doinksoft, who
Mm-hmm.
are known for these kind of like retro platformer style games. Definitely check out Volvi's Adventure Reslime. No console release though, which is sad, but it would
Mm-hmm.
probably run on anything.
Yeah, and PC gamers need something to play because they're getting left out of the
That's
out in
true.
the dust
This is
for
their
for
GTA.
GTA 6. Yeah, so
It would be
I know
funny
that's
if, I mean, maybe this is the plan, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that PC gamers, out of protest for GTA, will all play this
oh shit.
game. And I think it could climb the Steam charts because of that,
Mhm.
which is genius if that's what
Yeah,
happens.
it would be brilliant, but it's like I feel like I always said like you can earn your reputation, but I like when someone just gets too big. That's always been my again like that's been kind of like my thing against Sony because I feel like the moment that you get too big, then you start acting in a very anti-consumer way. And let us not forget, the reason Physical Gate has started in the first place was because they basically were the ones that opened the floodgates of, oh yeah, this game you've been like waiting for so damn long. Oh yeah, we're upping the price for $10. That cheap version is not gonna have any game. Like they're not gonna have everything in the game. If you want like the full real experience, get the $100 edition. Hence, twisting people's arm to get in that expensive edition. And then on top of that, be like, oh yeah, it's like code in the box. And then Sony saw that and was like, look, people are not protesting. Ending this production. Here we go. So it's like, I understand the altruistic reasons why like this leak is doing that, because it's like, I mean, you got to protest someone. It's still a very, it sucks that this is the kind of process you kind of have to do to like hit them to the point where they even had to finally admit. It's like, yeah, it's like, it sucks that this is happening. We haven't even finished the game yet. It's like we're nearing the end. And sad for all those individual developers, but again, this is kind of like when you're between a rock and a hard place and you show you're someone that's at the very top of the mountain, you will always have someone in a group of people that are jealous of your success and we're gonna try to bring you down no matter what. And this is basically kind of what's happening now. Is like, I fear for Naughty Dog next year if for Intergalactic. I feel like if they were able to do this to Rockstar of all people, I feel like the people that absolutely have an axe to grind towards that studio are gonna like hit them so hard. Like, despite them literally not doing anything to piss people up beyond just releasing The Last of Us ad nauseum, but but like beyond that is like it kind of just sucks. Like if you're at the top, it goes to show people are gonna find a way to hurt you. And I mean, they put out, I think the Sophia stuff leaked today. I have not seen any of it because I'm like, it's coming out the day this podcast posts. Is like the thing on Netflix is happening, so it's like at that point we're gonna see like what this thing really looks like. But it's like, I understand the spirit. I now understand that everyone that's at the top is gonna get hit. It still sucks for the actual ground people that put all their heart and souls into this, but sometimes like in the name of capitalism you're gonna suffer when you have someone doing something really shitty, and that's kind of like what happened.
Yeah.
So I feel sorry for them. At the same time, I don't feel sorry for Take Two. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because I still blame them for the fact that my wallet is gonna hurt so much in the next 2 months over games that I actually want to play because everyone's cramming to get away from their nuke. So it's like they're the reasons why physical get happened in the first place. And I know it's like Jess Gordon saw like he did an article about the whole thing that we're gonna talk about later, kind of saying that in his sources saying that like the production of disk drives has like dropped precipitously, and I blame these guys for being the ones that basically ushered this new reality. So yeah, that's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
Will I still play the game? I mean, out of obligation, I will. That's kind of the thing. I feel GTA 6 is kind of like a cultural obligation to just see like what the entire industry have put all their hopes and dreams in, and that just annoys me personally. But I mean, only 2 more months.
Yeah,
well, and by next week we'll have seen the game finally, not in 240p leaked form and with watermarks.
I don't know if I'm gonna sit through. What did they said it's like hours of
30 minutes. It's a 30-minute total thing.
We'll see. I'll probably skim. I don't know. I'll probably change my mind 50 times, and once it comes on, I'll probably get locked in. But the hype is just not there for me right now for GTA. I do have it pre-ordered though. I did the trade-in deal. It was too good to pass up. I got it for effectively. I got it for like half price. So anyways, let's jump into the next story, the last story, which was awesome. It kind of broke today. Xbox basically confirmed what all the reports were saying about the disc to digital program. I'm not going to read the whole article that they posted, but I will read Asha's tweet because I think this is kind of sums it up. She says, your physical game library is more than a collection of discs. It holds years of memories and stories worth preserving. Starting next week, Xbox insiders can unlock a digital entitlement for supported physical games. We'll start with thousands of titles and add more as we can. So I can't remember if we talked about it or not, but effectively this program is a ancestor of the Xbox One original DRM, where Microsoft is basically doing now what everybody crucified them for doing in the past, which in hindsight, everybody would be much better off if the Xbox One was allowed to live. But I will say that they had a bad messenger, and Don Matrick fumbled it hard.
And there is no 24-hour check-in this time
There
either.
was no
So to
24-hour check-in the other time too. They just didn't
yeah,
know, and he wasn't firm on saying yes or no. That
yeah.
a lot of the stuff just wasn't real, and he just was the
The
communication was awful.
the 24-hour, they confirmed it the 2 weeks after the reveal of Xbox One, when they put out that big like list of this is how it's gonna work. We just want to give you this message before E3 2013. So 24-hour check-in was real, and the fact that it had come from 2 weeks of Phil, Don Matrick saying one thing, Phil Harrison saying another thing, and all
But
all
it
the
wasn't
elder
real for the disc. It was not real for the disc. There was no 24-hour connection that you needed if you had your disc in.
I remember that was kind of like the problem. That even if you had
It,
the disc, you had that, and it had a 30-day lockout too if you wanted to lend that to someone. I remember like vividly a bunch of the stuff. I was like, man, this kind of sucks hearing all of this. So
either
I feel like
it
the
was
bones of
communicated horribly, and it without getting into the history of the Xbox One,
Mhm,
what stayed from that was that in order for that old system to work, every
mhm,
game would have to have their own unique ID on the disc, which is not something
mhm,
that normally happens with any disc, whether it's a CD, a DVD, a Blu-ray, or whatever. But the Xbox games are formatted specially to have that in there. And Microsoft, for all the mistakes they made with the Xbox One, they had the foresight to keep that as part of their manufacturing process. And
mhm.
now, what can happen with this new program is you can put in your Xbox One or your Xbox Series disc. Asha says thousands of games, which in my opinion is going to probably be most games. She says we'll add more titles when we can. I think that probably is talking more so about future releases.
Yeah.
But we'll see when the list comes out. But it will give you a digital entitlement for that physical game, which means you don't have to have the disc in your console to play it. You don't. I have a like a little shelf behind my TV where I have all the cases of games that are like quote unquote in my rotation, and I had to
Hmm.
constantly flip. I won't need that anymore.
Yeah.
And as the coolest part, in my opinion, is any game that supports Play Anywhere, you'll be able to get that digital entitlement from the disc and play it on cloud, play it on PC, play it on handheld, and play it on console.
And that's what I was gonna say. Like when she said thousands of games, remember how many games they said were gonna be play anywhere? Thousands of games. I'm gonna 100% believe the ones that are gonna be immediately available for that system are the ones that are already play anywhere, and they're gonna try hard to finally slowly get everything back in, like that's not there, to kind of keep expanding. And I would say play anywhere has now gotten a pretty sizable, like pretty cool like library to kind of start this with. So
There's a
it's
lot of
I
cool
feel like
stuff
this is a
coming
try.
too.
Yeah, it's a Trojan horse. This is a literal Trojan horse where they were able to do the one thing that in amidst all the bad messaging. And I would say like I'm gonna look up the article that laid out all the policies that came out literally the week late May 2013. Is like they're finally doing the thing they could have done with like the few things that were specifically bad, including the fact one thing that we lost over all of that was the family, like the family sharing that was going to be part of the Xbox One thing, where you could have like 10 people in your family that you could kind of
Well, they
share
had the home
all of it.
Xbox thing. Like that was
Mm-hmm,
part of it. And that's why I mean like they had
mm-hmm.
solutions, and they just had no leadership and no one to actually like push back on some of the bad ideas and think beyond like if they had any other person that's ever led Xbox, if they were in charge in that era, it would have been a different story. It was the worst. Phil Spencer said it's the worst generation to lose. No. It was the worst time to have the one completely incompetent leader you ever had. The one that's the worst time in other than day one of the original Xbox. There probably
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a worse time to ever have somebody that incompetent leading the business. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, they did.
telling people if you don't like this, we have a console for you, the Xbox 360.
Worst
That was
quote
literally
ever.
said.
Yeah. As,
So
and that's like, I mean, well, Kaz Hirai said you're going to want to get two jobs if you can't afford PS5 or
mhm.
PS3, which was pretty
It
bad
wasn't
too.
specifically Kaz Hirai, it was Ken Kutaragi,
Or
the
sorry,
guy that made
I
the guy that built the PS3. So it was kicked out of the building.
yeah, I
So
confused them, but
yeah.
yeah, just like right off the top of my head, like I know Blood of Dawnwalker has a nice steelbook day 1 edition. That's Play
Mhm.
Anywhere. Onimusha has a really cool steelbook. That's Play Anywhere. Control Resonant has a steelbook. That's Play Anywhere. Hellraiser has a physical version. That's Play Anywhere. There's a lot of titles coming to Play Anywhere that have really cool physical versions that you can buy on Xbox and have that to play on your PC, which is really, really cool. I just want to highlight this one tweet that I saw, because this is something that I'm seeing, and I don't know if I do know that I'm in an echo chamber, so this might not be what everybody else is seeing, but I am seeing online social circles, like the tide feels like it's shifting, where I'm seeing a lot of negativity towards PlayStation that typically gets overlooked.
It's usually the SR
and
side.
I see a lot of positivity towards Xbox, which usually gets underplayed for when they do good things. And so I thought this tweet was really cool, because Aaron Greenberg even retweeted it, and some other people kind of got traction. This is
I know which one.
Andy Lunique on Twitter at in-game menu says, so let me get this straight. If I buy a physical copy of a game at the store, I'll be able to install it on my Xbox and play it without the disc. If it's a Play Anywhere title, I can play it on my PC or my ROG Xbox Ally. It's actually called
Xbox ROG Ally.
Actually, you know what? I think he has it right. Yeah. Sorry. Anyways,
it's Dawn of the Bloodwalker and Blood of the Dawnwalker.
Yeah. Yes. If I'm traveling, I can play it on the cloud on my laptop or phone. My game is available to me anywhere or anywhere I go and to enjoy. And when the kids want to play, I can just hand them a disc a decade from now, which is something that I really care about. Real talk, I don't see why I would buy my games anywhere else. And that's exactly how I feel. And I don't think this is going to be something that suddenly converts everybody, but I think this is something that's extremely rewarding for anybody who is in the Xbox ecosystem. And I think if you're somebody who really cares about physical games, it could be something. Or actually, I take that back a little bit. I don't think this is bringing anybody from PlayStation to Xbox, but I think that it's going to encourage me or anybody else that has both to purchase games on Xbox instead of PlayStation. 100%. There's zero. If I have a good PC, a PS5 Pro, and a Series X, which is my exact situation, and I can buy Onimusha, the Steelbook, where am I buying it? On PlayStation, where I don't even know if it's going to work on PS6, or on Xbox, where not only do I know it's going to work on Helix, but it's also going to work on my PC, a handheld. It's going to work on cloud. It's going to work on Series S. It's going to work on Series X. It's going to work with my friend who is like game sharing. Because that's the
though if you share that disc, you wouldn't be able to play it at that moment.
No.
But
no. If I you know how you do game sharing with PS5, right?
Yes, but they specifically had mentioned that the disc, that wasn't that the thing, that if you give someone,
no, I don't give him the disc. I don't give him the disc. It's on my account, and my home Xbox is their Xbox. I see. And yes, so game share with physical will work between two consoles, like the home Xbox thing, plus all the other benefits, and then I get to keep the disc. And if I never want to play it again, I own it. I have something of value that I could sell, trade, lend, whatever. Like, there is zero reason why I would ever buy a game that is physical and also is disc to digital on PlayStation. Zero. So I think this is an amazing program. I thought it was too good to be true when it was originally reported, and this is exactly what the report said. So I am round of applause to Xbox.
Yeah, that's like a good way to like curb used game sales there, because it's like because you get all those benefits of that entitlement. You just don't have to get rid of that disc. If you get rid of that disc, goodbye to all of those benefits. But I'm also a collector, so
right now.
Exactly. That's kind of like what's so funny, and it has all of those benefits. I like that this has been announced now, and will it shift the tides? Again, it's like this. I would say this will shift the tides to the physical only people, because it's like you're getting someone that you get finally getting a company which ironically was the one that tried to kill physical in the first place by trying to go all digital, where they even killed their own disc production with the last regime. Good that they have a new regime that really wants to fight and win now. That's kind of like their irony is like, man, I wish that has happened much sooner. Like the change of leadership had happened much sooner, that it didn't. Like, it sucks that I feel like they still have to recover a lot from the stupid layoffs from July 2025, where they killed a bunch of the stuff, including the people that did the physical stuff at Xbox in 2025. I remember that was being reported. And obviously, like, there's a lot of people that are like me that have been just stuck with digital. I don't think this changes anything at all in that perspective. And we know where the pie chart it is. But that's the thing. If the pie chart is a 60 versus 40, let's put it that way. That's 40% of people that like discs, and you're giving them the greatest off ramp possible to keep that. Because yeah, we still have to kind of make it clear, because the fact that Ash is still very wishy-washy about like the direct question, will Helix have discs, what this
I
tells
don't think
me
it will.
is that I don't think it will. But I do love the idea of like, we understand where the future is going, but we also understand that you've invested in a bunch of this stuff, and we want you for and we want for those investments to feel honored in a way. That was the best thing that Phil did when the backwards compatibility happened on Xbox One, because they remember, it's like, oh yeah, these machines are not going to be backwards compatible, and then he was like, let's figure it out,
Yeah.
and lo and behold, they figure it out. So it's like the spirit of how awesome that was, thankfully, has been carried. It's still carried forward, thankfully, and so some of the people that worked in that program, Jason Ronald, is still the one that's doing this. So it's
Yeah.
really cool that that's still that is still happening. What this makes me so excited is that now that this has been announced, I'm hoping that that sentiment keeps showing, because I tell you, like, I curate my feed where I see it from where I see it from both sides, and you're not wrong. The positivity, it's now there, and it's almost unheard of how positive things have been for Xbox now. I'm so used to, at this point, to be like, okay, game's about to release. Where's the next rake? Here it is. And
But
yes,
even when the
there,
rake got stepped on, it was like it just didn't affect them. When the layoffs
yeah,
happened, it was just
mhm.
like they just got
This
like
time,
brushed off because of all of
before
the
not,
no, yeah,
before
no,
not,
this I'm talking about
this
this
time.
specific time. I think that
Mhm,
was in combination to it being over-reported as being like worse than it actually ended up being, and then
mhm,
PlayStation, their news. But yeah, I would say final thoughts on this. I think it's exactly what you said. This is an off
mhm,
ramp to all digital instead of being pushed off a cliff, and people are
mhm.
going to enjoy getting escorted off of the platform on a nice fun slide or ramp versus
Slide.
getting pushed
Instead of
down a
getting
hill,
kicked.
kicked in the nuts
Yeah.
and chucked down a hill, which is what Sony's doing. Um,
Mhm,
so it feels good. I feel confident that at least a large portion of the games behind me are going to
mhm,
carry with me to the next gen. I have
mhm,
zero confidence that the you can't see it, but behind that door, all of those PlayStation games are going to carry with me. They might, and if they do, I will almost do a complete 180 on what my opinion is right now of PlayStation. But right now, I
mhm.
don't know, and they don't care to
Yeah.
tell us, and they don't seem to care to say anything about this.
And my thing with all that, as someone that has a Pro, has a Series X, and all of that, like, obviously PlayStation is my main place to play. I still am getting all those things on Pro, because that's like that my best version. Obviously, in your case, you have a PC, so you already have something that looks better than hey cat. Oh man, you fat little fluff. But anyway, but if you don't care about the very best looking version of the game, and what you care is like for something to stay with you as of this point right now, because PlayStation is not seeing anything, or just cautiously moving forward with the decision that they have made, which, now that I understand why they decided to rip the band-aid, knowing that, like, if so many companies are not producing as many as many disk drives anymore, because of other industries kind of taking over, like micro lenses, AI, and blah blah blah, and they were just like, under the auspicious blessings of the developers, they're the ones that decided to fall on the sword and be like, yeah, this is happening, just know that ahead of time, and nothing else, and just we're cautiously moving forward with the the intense opinions that we're hearing online. It's like, at this point, is like, if you're a physical collector, where you want to be is on Xbox, and I'm a PlayStation guy, like, it, because you're for the physical guy. I'm not gonna be here to be like, ridiculous. No, it's like, that is still like, I tell you, it's like, I realized that there were more physical people here in El Salvador than I realized. I was looking at the TikToks of some of the stores that are kind of bootleg. I wouldn't call it bootleg stores, but are not like big retail chains. Like, when the news of the digital stuff happened, and like so many like are not buying GTA 6 here. They're vocally saying, because like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it without a disc. And I'm like, that kind of makes sense, because like, I was able to get faster internet thanks to my means. That's not the reality for so many of these people in like a third world countries. Like this,
Yeah.
they're still like their thing, and I feel like, yeah, there is an element of culture that we're seeing that are still holding on to this. You saw it in the data. It is, so the more data we get from Ampere, the more data we're getting from like the different countries. It is hilarious to me that the decision to go full digital is all because of the United States. look at all the other countries. The splits are not that are not that
No,
like
I mean,
are not are
we
not that like
I don't want to have to say this
smooth.
every podcast, but the reason
Uh-huh.
that Sony gave for this is not the actual reason. This is
Uh-huh.
not happening because no one buys discs. People
Mm-hmm.
buy discs. They've made $1 billion last year. People
Mm-hmm.
buy discs. They're doing it because Sony makes more money if you don't buy discs. And they
Exactly.
did some math and they figured that so many people that buy discs are just going to flip to digital with no problem, and they're all just going to take those, they're just taking those physical purchases and converting them to digital and seeing how much more money that will generate.
And
We
I
want to
100%,
monetize our players
yeah.
more. That's literally what
Yeah.
they said.
And 100% I'm of the mind that if you're making all your entire business decision based on the trends of just one country, which is the United States, which to be fair is one of the biggest gaming markets that exist, Sony, you're the reason you're the biggest brand in consoles is your global reach.
Yeah,
Don't
they're
make
close.
decisions. Yeah.
Xbox and Sony are close in the States.
Yes, they're much
Sony's
closer than people give
bigger,
them
but
credit.
it's
Yeah.
like I think it's single digit percentage difference. The reason why PS5's crushing them is because of the EU and Asia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Xbox
and
just
the
tanked in those regions.
yes, it's more like if everywhere else is 5-1, it's like 3-1 on the in the US basically, like, and especially like from what we learned in 2024 and 2025 when the business update happened and multi-platform started happening, that's kind of like what tanked and widened the gap in the US compared to how things used to be. Uh, but it's like, don't make this business decision just based on the US. Now that we're getting more and more data, is like, yes, the US has fully moved on. Technically, there's more people with good internet there. Of course, they're gonna. The US has shown there's so many fat, lazy asses there. Of course, digital was gonna be uh, a bigger factor there. Like, it doesn't surprise me, but it's like you're risking a major gambit in alienating an entire world. But this, understanding that now this is an off ramp, this is gonna be an interesting next generation now that it's slowly becoming clear that digital is just gonna be the norm based on availability of disk drives that are not being they're not being as manufactured anymore. Obviously, vinyls, which are something more niche, are kind of making a comeback. And ironically, Sony promoted a vinyl player, and I was like,
Insane.
man, the tone deafness is insane with this. But
Yep.
I was like, man, it's like what I'm hoping as a closing thought of all this. I'm glad in the chess move that is these two competitors is like Xbox has finally made the big move in the chessboard. Is like, will this finally like force them to have to say something early? Because obviously they don't want to talk about the next generation consoles. That's kind of like their entire bind. It's clear all this is for to prepare things for the PS6 and whatever handheld they're doing. But it's like, man, like Xbox, enjoy all this good PR that you got going. Hope to God both Gears and Fable land and they make waves. Start making waves so Sony doesn't feel like nothing matters. That's kind of like been the problem. Because a lot of people are still saying it's like, this is a cool move. Will it change anything? I hate feeling that entire thing that everything is just set. Like, that's the worst part. That's kind of like the worst place for the industry to be. If a competitor is like already like by default a winner, no matter what they do, you don't want that.
No.
You want to hope that this makes you want to hope that this makes waves. At least for the physical people, I'm hoping a lot of them like start considering now moving over there. Like if they care so much about it, like physical editions, like the very least, like you're gonna be honored for whatever it is you're being given now at this point. And I'd rather you kind of stay there, like especially if you don't care to play like on the very best console that's currently available in the market, which is currently the Pro. It's like for you in your case, like you had a Pro, but it's like you care so much about like your actual collection that fuck PSSR, like fuck all
it's
of
not
that.
even
Like
better. Some like
exactly.
today, Plague Tale runs better on Xbox than Pro.
Yeah, in the high performance mode, in the 120 frames mode, like it's even better.
And there's a lot of games where the Pro patch is literally nothing. Like what was Beast of Reincarnation? The Pro patch did nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't have that. That's just gonna run it on boost mode basically.
Yeah,
when we don't hear.
I think that the level of effort in Pro patches died as soon as the first wave came out. Like the Alan Wake 2s look really good. Resident Evil was amazing.
That was wave 3. Wave 2 is the one where I would agree with you. Where it was like there was a huge period where it was like, man, it's like they're not running the patches. It's like what's happening with this? The people were actually saying it's like, are they even doing patches? I would say like after PSSR 2.0, more effort has been putting. Like we saw it with Resident Evil, we saw it with Crimson Desert, we saw it with Pragmata, we saw it with 007 First Light, we saw it with Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. So it's like the effort was being put there where there was a legit thing. And Plague Tale may run better on Xbox, but in clarity, I tell you, it's night and day. I tested it in the base, and the base PS5 is similar in visual quality to the Xbox One. That where you're getting better on Xbox, there is gonna be like the higher frame rate if you decide to run it in 120, and less screen tearing in a specific point where it was. I saw the DF, I was like, of course, this was the stress point because I remember playing through it. I was like, oh man, the frame rate is tanking here, but yeah, it's like at this like at a certain point, it's like, would that better visual transcend a more consumer friendly place for you to be? Especially that tweet that you read is like, look at all those benefits that you're gonna get by default. Like that is so pro consumer that I'm like, yeah, sacrifice the better visual fidelity to be treated better if that is your preference. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, to me, I was like, glad this is gonna be there. I'm hoping that when it launches for Xbox Insider, people test it and they blast it to the high heavens how awesome that system is. Because at that point, maybe as soon as we're actually gonna listen. Obviously, right now we're in
I
the
don't
middle
think
of.
so. I don't think
Yeah,
that
we're on.
they're not going to be motivated by, oh, people are happy. You think we care if
Uh-huh,
people are happy? Show me the
exactly.
money.
It's
We care about the money. If this play,
yeah, especially
we didn't talk about it.
the current leadership
Yeah,
specifically.
we didn't talk about
Mhm.
it because it's kind of like not probably worth talking about. But currently we are living through the
Day three.
PlayStation blackout. So
Yeah.
I don't suspect that, and I don't suspect they'll feel any financial impacts
Hmm.
until like the next gen, because this
Hmm.
is like this worked just this exact same with Xbox One. There's a lot of people
Hmm.
that had Xbox One and they got disenfranchised by things that were happening, and they made the decision, I don't want to have an Xbox anymore. I'm going to get a PlayStation. But the
Hmm.
reality of it, the financial reality is I'm not doing that right now because I
Hmm.
can't do that right now. I don't have the money.
Yeah.
But the next time I'm going to switch. And that's why the
Hmm.
Series X came out. It was way better than the Xbox One. I would argue it
Hmm.
had better games at launch than the PS5, and it had a Game Pass, and it was everything that you would have wanted if you were an Xbox fan. All the problems you had were solved, but it sold less because
Yeah.
people made that decision already, and they were
I
gonna.
would I would argue Xbox One for sure had better games that launched PS4. At the launch of PS5 and Series X, the Series X launched with no exclusives, and it launched with patches that made late Xbox One games better. But like PS5 at least had Demon Souls and Spider Man at the very least, as newer games that launched there. But at the same time, it was like it
Well, we
also
had
had Game
Halo.
Pass. Mhm.
I'm talking about like the launch window. We had Halo
Oh yeah,
Infinite.
the first year,
We had
yes.
Halo Infinite. We had four. Like there was a lot of stuff plus Game Pass.
Mhm.
Well, the point
Yeah.
I'm making though is that all the problems with the Xbox One were resolved and improved, and the Xbox Series X is by far a better console. But it sold
Mhm.
less because people already made the decision that they're not going to stay with Xbox. It just took until the next gen for the financial realities of those people's decisions to
Mhm.
take effect. And people now that are disenfranchised with PlayStation, and they're saying, "Oh, I'm leaving PlayStation," blah blah blah. Yeah, it's not going to reflect in sales or financials yet because they haven't had an opportunity to not support
Yeah.
them. They
And the
already own the
tragedy,
console.
yeah,
The sales
and the
there.
man, and the biggest tragedy of all is that I remember in the first early during the scarcity era, there was like it really felt tighter. And there were even months where Xbox was outselling PS5. Even though PS5 was always so highly sought after due to the inertia of PS4 players wanting to move there, just beyond the backwards compatibility. They built their library there. They kind of wanted to move it forward. But I do remember it's like the launch, not a good moment, but that first year of the Xbox is like by the time we got to the holiday and they were the ones that actually had a lineup of PlayStation's lineup literally got delayed to the next year. Like
Yeah,
that, I remember that. I feel 2021 will always be remembered as like the what if of the Xbox Series X because you could see like the sentiment was good. The end of
they
the
just
20th
got
anniversary was
Bethesda.
happened there. Bethesda they had just gotten there. They were still trying to do exclusives. I 100% do believe that the entire shift that happened was them trying to get ABK and going a complete year without nothing. Then after doing that, I feel that made it. It's kind of what I say. Like by the point that when you're trying to buy ABK, you're proving you're not just some small like upstart like rogue like that's worth fighting for. You're the trillion corporation that can throw $70 billion like nothing. And
Yeah,
I feel that's kind of like what started that shift. And on top of then so many games that then got delayed, then started coming, and they were not hitting like they used to. Obviously, I know we make the joke of the Xbox stacks, we know, but what I always find funny is that there's always mentions of Xbox stacks, and then those games are never like, people then are like, yeah, that was probably not as great. Like, I feel like I saw that cycle so often. It was just death by a thousand cuts with Xbox after that. But 2021, man, imagine if that had been the model. Imagine the butterfly effect that games actually came out in 2022 and ABK wasn't a thing. I do 100% believe the sentiments would be different. That
Yeah.
monopolistic, quote unquote, like move is probably what really changed the perception issue towards the brand at that time. And
Well,
then
I
the
think the
fact that
perception was already like cursed.
yeah,
I
but the fact that people were praising, like people were like praising Xbox a lot that fall. I remember. I still do. I've been like, even like me, that I'm not the biggest Halo Infinite fan. Like overall, even though I love the multiplayer, I do remember that launch. People loved Infinite at launch, especially Halo Infinite was the only good shooter that fall.
yeah,
Vanguard sucked. Battlefield 2042 was a disaster. It's like all of those things were like, oh, and it was like the only place where you could play. And Forza Horizon 5, IGN's Game of the Year, like the best racing, like arcade racer that happened there, mixed with
it was.
Psychonauts, mixed with all of
Oh, it was
that. It's
definitely
like,
a great time. It was
mhm,
for me. I think the thing that hurt, well, the thing that hurt them was Xbox One. I already
mhm,
explained why. It's just like the the financial despair of that generation, of those
mhm,
disenfranchised Xbox supporters, that didn't manifest until they had the choice again. Do I want PlayStation or Xbox? And then
mhm,
they chose PS5. For with Activision, I think that what cursed them there was how long it took for them to actually gain control over it.
mhm, yeah,
I mean, anecdotal. There's definitely people that were like that scream monopoly, but I think Microsoft was pretty good at being like, no, COD's not going to be exclusive. We're
yeah.
not doing this. Ubisoft's
They try
involved.
to make
Blah
sure.
blah blah. Like
Mhm,
it didn't end up being anything close to
yeah.
monopolistic. But yeah, my
But the
point is,
media narrative set, I would say, and like the media narrative, that's exactly.
when it was
Mhm,
announced, but
yeah,
throughout the process, I think they did a good job of quelling those fears. Um, I just the point I'm making is whatever financial damage is coming to PlayStation because of their callousness towards their fans and the decision making that they have, if any,
is for the next console.
maybe I'm
Mhm,
wrong. It's not going to manifest right now. So anybody out there saying, "Oh, look, the PlayStation blackout didn't result in the entire company folding, therefore no one cares about
mhm,
this," that's not true. There's people out there
yeah,
that are not going to re-up and they'll feel it. And I kind of laid out before how I think that will
mhm,
manifest. But anyway, we're kind of getting on
yeah,
time here.
yes,
Let's move off this. And I'm going to quickly just
yeah,
talk about what we're playing or what I'm playing. Then you can go because I'll go quick.
mhm,
Um, Played War Dogs, the beta. That game is
mhm,
fantastic. I have a sneaking suspicion that there's going to be an open beta on September 3rd. If there is,
mhm.
and you have a PC,
It's still PC only, right?
right now. But they're
Mhm.
talking about this big mega announcement. I don't know if that's a console release. I don't know what that means. I'm pretty sure it's an open beta though. So we'll see what happens there. I will talk more about this game after the open beta, or maybe even next week. I think if I'm not gonna look at the calendar. Next podcast, I'll talk more about it because I do have a lot to say. It is fantastic. I think it's a new genre in gaming. I think it's gonna uh, I don't think it's going to like take over the entire world, but I think it's going to be a
Mhm,
big hit when it actually
mhm,
drops. I played a little bit
yeah.
of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare beta. I actually played some games with Wally. Um, I mean,
I played it too with my siblings. Mhm,
yeah, I won't say it like blew me away, but it definitely feels really good. I think you can notice that it is the first next gen only Call of Duty. The visual
mhm.
fidelity seems to have improved a lot. I didn't get a chance to try the campaign mission. I'm going to try that
I did.
when the open
Mhm.
beta comes. But I do think it looks really good. It felt really good to play on my PC. I had a lot of fun playing with Wally. The classic like open mic Call of Duty lobbies were in full
Oh, is
effect.
there so? Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
which was so funny. And then I
I got
want
a Mexican grandmother in one of mine. It was funny. That was screaming at the kid not doing the chores. I was like, heck
incredible.
yeah, we're back, baby.
Yeah. I also quickly want to shout out Blood Dungeon. That's a game I played at Steam Next Fest. It just dropped on Game
Mhm,
Pass. It's probably on PlayStation, I would assume as well. I don't know. Um, that game's super fun. I talked about it maybe last time as well. It's basically like a Bowser's Castle level of Super Mario World mixed with Vampire Survivors, in a roguelite where you have like a meta progression system as well. It has a really kind of goofy like crayon esque art style. So it's not like the best looking game ever, but it's very fun to play. It's like that, like I said, a Mario platformer. You're climbing the fences like in Mario. You're gaining all kinds of ways to kill bad guys, and just like in Vampire Survivors, the screen ends up getting full of effects and enemies. It's just really, really fun. Super light game as well. Really like low install size. Definitely worth checking that out. And my article actually went live for the mystery game that we were talking about last week that I was playing. That's Game of Thrones War for Westeros. I'll link the article down below so you can check that out. It is a real ass RTS game.
It's a Battle for Middle Earth, right? Like,
not a,
is it similar?
It definitely, that's probably the closest comparison. That like Warcraft 3, it's because it's hero based. Where like you have a hero in your army that's like one of the most important parts, and they have like active abilities. They level up as the battles go on. But it is a real ass RTS. So when it was first revealed with a cinematic only trailer, I thought it was a mobile game. And then when we were offered a code, I was like, oh, it's not a mobile game. Okay, I'll take that. And then when I was not expecting it to be anywhere close to as good as it was, I took a gander at some of the other covers that came out today from other outlets, people that were in the test with me. Very, very highly received, which is good. I'm not crazy. I loved it as well. Still a question mark out there in terms of what the campaign's going to be like. We don't know anything about that. All I know is that there's a button that says the word campaign. Couldn't click it. I don't know if it's like scenarios like in Age of Empires or if it actually tells a story. We'll have to learn that later. It's supposed to launch, I think, in the first half of next year. I really hope they do a beta. I'm kind of torn because for the sake of this game, it would really suck if StarCraft 3 got revealed at BlizzCon. But as a massive StarCraft fan, I really want StarCraft 3 to get revealed at BlizzCon. So it's actually a win-win for me. If it doesn't get revealed, then this game is going to carry me for the RTS, the PvP RTS game. But we'll see what happens. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, when's BlizzCon? Next week, right? Or 2 weeks from now?
I think it's like the middle of September, like the 12th or something like that.
Wolverine week. Okay.
Yeah. So tune into that. We'll be talking about BlizzCon when it happens. But yeah, War for Westeros. Check out some of the other coverage out there. Read the article on SG. I'm going to post that link below. But yeah, that's pretty much my week in gaming.
Yeah, and I did try the Modern Warfare 4 beta. I got so caught up in my other review that I didn't do the impressions that I kind of wanted to make. I enjoyed what I played. I am still very perplexed at, obviously it's a 20-year series at this point. I feel like you can never please a fan base that has like grown for so long and has like different opinions and all of that. Or like what exactly do they want out of their Call of Duty? Like Omni movement, do you remember? Big praise. Now everyone freaking hates Omni movement. No SBMM. That was a big praise of last year that they had to do it because Battlefield was like getting all the hype. SBMM is back in this year's game. TTK is super fast. Then they adjusted it like in the 2 days later, and then people were like up in arms. I'm like, what do you guys want? Like, it's so annoying to me because it's like I feel like they like that fan base has become so schizophrenic of exactly what they want, and that always concerns me how they just keep like developing and balancing these games. But removing all of that aside, what was there? I like the feel. I like the maps. I'm still hoping that the full set of maps it's a good one because it feels like we always get a few good ones and then they start bringing back old ones because people just love the old ones. And it's like, do you guys have any great new map designers you could do? There's something that it's not always have to play to the hits. Always bringing back like the Modern Warfare 1 maps or even the Modern Warfare 2 ones. But the campaign mission, especially after the abortion that was last year's campaign, like glad that it's a proper campaign again, like it's scripted. Also, I had not realized how much I missed just a true military feeling, that it's like just actual warfare, not even the spy like aggrandized Michael Bay style like movie. It's like, hey, it's actual warfare. I hadn't even realized how much I missed this. I'm hoping that the tone remains this way and visually sumptuous. Like I tried it both on Xbox and PlayStation. Great looking game on both. But the game that I spent most of my time from when we recorded last week and to now was Resonance: A Plague Tale Legacy, which comes out the day this posts, and the review embargo lifted today when we're recording. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It has an 85 top critic, open critic, and a 79 in Metacritic. Do you finish Plague Tale Requiem?
Not yet.
Okay, yeah.
This is
So
a prequel though, right?
yeah, it's a prequel. Yeah, ironically, it's a prequel that is being told as a story that's been told after what happens in Requiem. Let's just put it that way. So it's something that you want to play because there's
You
like
want
a
to do
coda
Requiem
at the end of.
first.
Exactly, you have to finish Requiem first, and you play this prequel because there's like a coda at the end that happens after Requiem. It's basically her, Sophia, the main character, telling her story.
Right.
So like as a postscript. So this tells the story of Sophia, a side character you meet in the seventh chapter of Requiem. She's just like a pirate, like smuggler. She has like swagger and all that, but she didn't have much of a character
Yeah, I didn't
arc
get
in
to her
that.
yet. I think I'm probably
Yeah. Oh,
close
you're
though.
early. You're very early then.
I think
That's
I
an
must be
18.
close because I played a decent chunk of Requiem.
Yeah. Have you gotten to an island?
I
Because
think
like if
I
you have not
am
gotten,
at the island. I think I just got to the island.
then
And st-
you probably have met her because you're
no,
like with a warrior, and then he introduces you to her like really quickly. She looks like Esmeralda.
no, like I
So
got to the island. I took one step and then I saved and I never came back. And I don't know
okay,
why.
so you're probably about to meet her at some point. So
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of meet her, and how this is framed is that the way so like Sophia meeting Amici and Hugo in Requiem triggers a memory that reminds her of a big moment in her upbringing, and that's kind of like what this prequel is set as. This is set 15 years later. Like you see her as a young kid that was like left in a convent. It's part of a backstory she gives you, and then how she gets into like a gang of pirates that were part of her father who died of mysterious reasons. But as she was a young kid, she keeps having all these weird visions of old Greece and the Minotaur, and she was plagued by these visions all this time. And then when she goes on a caper on Venice that kind of goes south, and like her band kind of like disbands, as everyone's kind of like escaping, she decides to leave her band behind because she wants to get to the bottom of these visions that ties to the plague that is at the center of the Plague Tale games. Wait until you see how that is developed in Requiem. That's all I'll say. And this game automatically also tells the story of Theseus, the myth, the legendary Greek myth hero that slayed the Minotaur in Daedalus's labyrinth. And as you're playing as Sophia, she keeps having like these vivid visions, Assassin's Creed style of like flashbacks to the past, and she's kind of like piecing together why she keeps having visions of the past and how all that is tied into this play. And I feel that how those two stories kind of come together is like this game at its best for sure. I will say that ironically, this starts like as an origin story for Sophia, but then becomes more of an origin story of the Prima Macula. She then becomes like a vehicle to tell that story, and then you realize it's like, oh yeah, it's like I don't know much more from you than how I started. I feel like I got all of your story in the first few chapters, and then everything became about Theseus afterwards. Everything kind of circled back to Theseus, and all of that then circles back to the emotional core that was the story of innocence and Requiem, which was Hugo and Amisa tied to this plague and what was infecting Hugo. And the way that this story serves as a parallel to that adds extra weight to the tragedy that ends up happening in Requiem. So it's a that this is why this is a prequel that you should play after you have finished Requiem, because it, without spoiling it, the ending is devastating in Requiem, and when you see what happens in Resonance, you realize it's even doubly devastating because there was like no other choice. Let's just put it
Yeah.
that way. And I feel that kind of makes it worth it, even though I wish Sophia as a character was developed even more than how she is at the end of this. She's still just a pirate with swagger that went through a traumatic event, like figuring out the origins of like her visions and all of that. But it feels like it just served more to serve the grander plot of Plague Tale more than her. And my question going into after Requiem was like, okay, these two games tell a basically complete story. They made a very interesting post-credit scene. I'm not gonna say what it is, that could give you an idea of how they could move forward, but it feels like so much of Innocence in Requiem was the story of this young girl trying to do her damnedest to save her little brother.
Mm-hmm.
That once that story's closed is, can you move on from here? And I feel Resonant kind of gives an idea how they can keep expanding, but it's ironic that the core of its story has a lot of shades to the previous two Plague Tale that I'm like, is this how the series is always going to go? Trying to always make parallels to the stories that are already told. Like, I wonder how they're going to do a non prequel Plague Tale game afterward, but I feel like how they set this up as a prequel worked well enough. This is also not a stealth game. This is an action adventure game in the vein of Uncharted and Tomb Raider. It's very actiony. It's like, and even then, like the action, it's even very similar to old school Assassin's Creed, even closer to Ghost of Tsushima. The way you do quick parries and you are surrounded by enemies and you kind of quick, you slash enemies really quick, and you do tiny tools. You even grab things from the floor and throw them. Very similar to
First Light.
007 First Light. It's like like there's a lot of energy that's shared between these games. And
how long was it?
13 hours, okay. 13 to 15. So it's a tight adventure. I love that specifically because I'm like, man, I miss Uncharted. I miss Tomb Raider. Obviously, Tomb Raider's coming back next year. Uncharted has been gone for almost a decade. A lot of narrative games have become so bloated and so full of fluff of RPG mechanics and all that, that there's something about playing something that's so straight to the point, tight, that I was like, man, it's like this is filling a niche in the market that I didn't realize needed to be filled, because I'm like, man, I don't get games like this, and I feel this year I'm sort of getting those, like old school, like Adventure and Pragmata kind of gave me that. 007 First Light also kind of gave me that too. So I'm like, yeah, it's like this, I feel this year is long overdue giving me this kinds of games again. And I feel like they did a good one of those kinds of games, even though I still think it's more derivative by default compared to how unique Innocence and Requiem were more as stealth games. To me, the best Plague Tale is still the original, because it's the one that more closely held to, this is a stealth game of two fragile characters trying to evade all this all these guards from this like plague era and all of that, and just at the very end falls apart when it becomes a little too actiony. I always remember, I've always have people remind, don't forget the way base moment where you're pushing a very slow cart and you're killing enemies back in like 1-1, and then you have a boss fight with a priest that controls rat tornadoes. So it's like that game just got, and then Requiem falls apart even quicker in that regard, where it tries to push the stealth more, but then starts throwing Uncharted like stealth like set pieces that I'm like, and putting you in more areas where you have to get.
I mean, I've seen only one of them, I think.
Yeah, the one at France, based on where you are. It's like where there's like that entire country gets destroyed by plague. Those are cool. The moments where you have to get locked in a room and kill enemies, less so, because this game mechanics are clearly stealth made, and forcing so much action to those mechanics like strain the gameplay of that game. But the story overall was so much better in 2 that I gave that a pass. Resonance, at least it was clear they wanted to make an action game. They made an action game this time, so it feels like at least they're indulging more in what they clearly where they wanted to go with Plague Tale, even though they had something with stealth. We barely get any stealth games, especially ones that mimic The Last of Us to a certain extent, but up the fragility of the characters. And that's what made Plague Tale so unique. I don't feel there's fragility in Sophia's character. In fact, she has a lot of swagger. She's like such a deadly warrior. Like the coolest thing about the combat, as simple as it can be, is seeing how she slices those dudes. She's swift, is brutal, has great animation. On top of the fact that this is probably the best looking game of the year so far. Obviously, I think GTA 6 is probably going to be the winner there, but
probably
I feel like
because it's not on PC.
Yes, but I feel like console they may push a lot. But I feel like on a PC, I even said is like I cannot wait to hear what people think of this game if they have like a 5090 and the biggest hertz monitor, whatever they have, because it's like the Asobo proprietary tech is so good, and I feel like this is the best any their games have looked, and already their games were lookers for a team that was a AA team at a certain point. Mm-hmm. Like it's still like they are a team that impresses me in their versatility. I mean, they did Flight Sim, and I feel they have such a great visual eye to things. It's like this game. Go check my review. We can link it there in the description. Go check. I put a bunch of screen. Yeah,
I'll put the link in the description for sure. And I think that they just have really good direction. Like they have a really good game director. They, like you said, vision. They're a lot of teams could probably do this, but what happens with development is a lot of teams have to start and restart and change ideas mid and scope creep and all these things. And if you have a good plan and you stick to the plan and everything's scoped out and nailed out and it doesn't fall off the rails, like which is like the kind of the job of the director. It'd be surprising in today's world with how tech has evolved, like what people like smallish, relatively small teams can do, which is awesome.
Yeah, and shout out to them. They're a AA team that in 7 years got 3 games out.
Yeah,
Innocence, Requiem, and Resonance.
Great, good direction. That's what I see there, and I'm excited to check it out.
Yes, check it out, especially since it's day one on Game Pass.
I'm honestly probably gonna, just like, I'm sure that if I played like, and you can actually confirm this, if I played like the first chapter or just the intro, just to see what it's like,
not going to spoil. Yeah, it's not going to spoil the Requiem for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll probably do that. I'll probably get through the prologue, see the title card, and then I'll finish Requiem.
Let me just say, the prologue, the first 2 chapters of this game are so awesome. They're probably some of the, I still say 007 First Light still has one of the coolest starts to absolutely. A game, but I feel there's a tempo to this one that reminds me a lot of that. Especially like, I tell you, the main theme of this game is probably my favorite song of the year.
I can see you listening to it all the time on Discord. Like it shows when you have it playing.
Yeah, it's so like it has the melancholy that's known for Plague Tale, but now it has the Greek patina to it, and it's so catchy, and it's like legit Greek. They like, you can see like a behind the scenes video on their YouTube where he brought in a bunch of Greek chanters, especially from Crete. Nice. The island where you're most of this game, to kind of like deliver that feeling. And there's because there's like an epicness to it. Well, there's a sadness to it that is so cool. Definitely, like I blinked. The first song is called "The Land." It's like in the main theme. It's like in the menu. If you hover it there in your PlayStation X and B, it's such a memorable song. I kept hearing it. I blasted as I wrote my review. So check it out. 8 out of 10. I had as a fun fact, I had a review chat going with Travis Northup, who was IGN's reviewer. He gave this a 6. We were talking about like, is he getting too jaded? Like, who's gonna be the outlier? And I was like, I'm gonna take that bet. I think this is an 8. He went on a 6, and guess who was the outlier? So he was the lowest score. Like, if you go to like this game, like it's like 85, 89, like critics and like open critics. It's like
I'll have to check out his review and see why he hated it so much.
And the thing is, he didn't really hate it. Yeah,
he's very strict with the IGN scale, so I think a 6 is like good, right?
Okay, it's okay.
It's okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Well, I have a feeling I'll be higher. It is fun, just from what I know so far. But we'll see.
I've learned that whatever score he gives, I'm usually 1 point higher, and if it's a multiplayer game that he scores high, I'm at 1 point lower. Yeah. So it's so funny how that has landed for me. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, definitely check out, like, if you like the first 2 Plague Tales, if you're feeling an interesting like new angle for the universe, it's definitely worth checking out. And I'll just say as a final thing, the moments that this game does use stealth, they are plague related, and the plague of this game, how it's represented in the first 2 games, was rats. How they're represented the plague here is so wild and so hard to describe. I kept that spoiler free. I'll let you have the surprise of seeing, like, because it's wild, and those moments are thrilling. Like saying trying to evade the plague in this game.
It will probably be in what I'm playing next episode. I probably won't get very far because, like I said, I want to finish Requiem first, but I'll definitely have at least a first impression. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think we're coming up on time. Did you have one more thing?
Install it in your PC. Yeah, install it in your PC.
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
Check those first 2 chapters, and then you tell me visually.
Yeah, so, I will for sure.
That's pretty much it.
Cool. So. Yeah, well, we're under 2 hours again. That's a record. We were aiming for 1 hour and then hoping for an hour and a half, and we're at 1:51. We'll probably hopefully do better next time. We'll see. Probably not. I don't know, especially if we have a guest. But anyways, this has been the Game Positive Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 49. 1 away from the half-century mark. Alex, where can people find you, and what are you going to be doing?
They can find me at the Slayer Giant on Twitch, where I will be over the next 3 days. I want to stream Resonance. I want to stream Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 and Star Wars Zero Company. About Master Collection and Zero Company today. Obviously, Resonance I reviewed, so I already have it, but it was already going to be on Game Pass. I think it's already installed. It's going to unlock on Xbox. I want to kind of check that version out since I did it. I reviewed it on Pro. And find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at the Slayer Giant, where I promote my streams and also promote, like, whenever we do this whenever I do now my co-hosting podcast appearances, and join my Discord, the Slayer Giants, too.
Awesome.
So, and my written content at Secrets on Gaming.
Yes, you'll see his review, my impressions of Game of Thrones. All our links are going to be in the description down below. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to have fun out there, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Peace.